Are you ready? It's kind of interesting. Ready for what? Well, ready for over a few things here. All right. I'm in a climate-controlled broadcast, mobile broadcast station here. That's what my vehicle is. I'm going to flip this around. I want to show you something. Okay, we had a lot of rain last night and a lot of wind. I'm starting out early because I want you to be able to see. I don't know why that's not clear. I want you to be able to see the different dynamics that happen when there's freshwater puddles like this, what that looks like. An urban display of a liquid mirror, basically a sea level liquid mirror. Oh yeah, this is my neighborhood, our neighborhood's where we live, and I wanted to take us for a ride down to the ocean, about 7 miles away. Those ripples will settle right out. We've had like 23 mile an hour steady winds and gusts upwards of 30. Storm coming in, and it's been here for a while. Just very, very interesting. The sun should appear any minute now. Why is it so dark? Well, there's a lot of clouds. That's what's going on with that. Tides Near Me is an effective app that I utilize to know the tidal activity, when the sun and the moon appear and vanish from this vantage point, what that looks like, and also what the tidal amount is. It's going to be over a 5-foot tide today. Pretty, it's a lot of water. It fluctuates here between 3 and 7 feet. High tide, storm surge, I've seen 14 feet come in here. Not here, down at the ocean. Okay, so this climate-controlled mobile broadcast studio has air conditioning, a high-performance V8 engine. I can light up the tires if I needed to or wanted to. Michelin tires with a lot of tread on them. I'm going to show you a little something here. Let's back this up just a little bit. I want to show you some flat water in the ditch there. And then the lights coming off of it. Harder to see right now because of the moisture. I got a lot of moisture on the glass simply because it's cooler inside than outside, and that's where the condensation comes from. Okay, so we're gonna take on off here. School buses are getting ready to run. They are running now, taking children, youth to an indoctrination center where they're going to be given a view of what they're saying is truth and reality. I would disagree with a lot of that. This is a very elaborate system of deception that's going on in the world today. Are you ready? Are you ready for what we're dealing with? I would say, yeah, I most definitely am ready. One of the things that I would say is you might want a YouTube target focus training. This may get very challenging. I'm not a violent man. I'm just not going to take any crap from anybody. I take a lot of shots on the internet. People making fun of me, calling me names, saying my mom should have aborted me or I should kill myself. Oh well, I'm a big boy. I got my big boy pants on. Yeah. What I would say is that if you're somebody watching me wondering if you want to put the hurt on me and do it publicly, I would say, well, be ready because the God who created this world and lives in and through me could stop your heart just like that. Here, let's give the sound effect just like that. That's what we're dealing with here. Is we're dealing with the created world. The creator of this world lives in and through all of his children that are actually born again. Now, I was a child of God before I was even conceived physiologically in my mother's womb. I was conceived in the mind of God before the foundation of the world, when my name and the names of all of God's children were put in the Lamb's Book of Life. Pretty fascinating. I'll flip it around periodically just to let you see what this looks like. I go the speed limit. Why? Well, it's pretty relaxing. I'm ready to go through a speed trap because undoubtedly it'll happen. We may see a blue light special, somebody getting a reminder that they should adhere to the posted speed limits. We're policed up. This area here, the Grand Strand in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, this is the North Myrtle Beach, like Little River area. We're expecting 20 million guests here this year. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of revenue generated by those traffic reminders, and I'm glad that they give them. I'm glad that we're policed up, quite frankly. That's good for me. I'm not doing anything illegal. And I definitely want the people that are planning on doing something illegal to be ready to be incarcerated and fined and all of that. What you can't see in the view right now, but I'll point it out anyway, would be a water tower on the left and a development of 1,200 houses going in, shopping center, retirement, living area, Bridgewater, and then the hospital on the right, which has been given a mega $1 million advancement or improvement, I should say, in the facility as far as the health care that's going to be provided there. I'm hopefully never going to need any of that. The water tower now we can see on the left, hospital right there. So here's the deal. Water seeks its level. It's raining. It's falling. It doesn't fall upside down. You can't pour water upside down. Some rather creative individuals post different things that show some of the physics and properties of water and the amazing things that it does. And I understand that. It just doesn't go upside down unaided by some external force. Gravity, as we're told, is basically a deception. I understand buoyancy, differences in density and mass, lighter than floats, heavier than falls. There's up and down. Don't overcomplicate this thing, like my friend Johnny B says. And I say it too. Don't overcomplicate it. It's actually straightforward. Okay, right now I can tell I'm going up an elevation, and it's a good thing because this bridge goes over the intracoastal waterway that runs parallel to the coastline in a lot of areas. I'm going to show you a view out the side here. This is approximately 100 feet above the water. Harbor Gate Marina is right down below, and the water, she's a flat. It's just what it does. It's connected to the ocean, so it's affected by the tides, rising and falling. With the videography and photography that I do, digital photography, that I can share instantaneously, by the way, it illustrates the reflections all change based on the mathematical geometry of the eye of the observer, which is the unified perspective that people have when we're looking at a picture or a camera. And then even looking at the picture can be a little bit different because of light bouncing off of it, like when looking at a picture of somebody standing a little bit different location, it's going to look a bit different. I moved the lens of my camera slightly in the vehicle. When the lighting is like this time of the day, you can see through my rear view mirror or window much better. In the glass, there's metal actually adhered, I believe, to the outside of the glass that'll warm it up. I've got that on right now, and what that does is it causes the condensation to not occur there. Here's the puddle that's normally there when it rains. It does it every time, basically. I'll head to the Prince Resort, and you'll be able to see what that looks like. On the way there, though, I believe what I'll do is go the route of the coastal preserve area. I want you to be able to see that. One of the things that's happened over the year is I've been able to have access to this vehicle. Where I was primarily using a motorcycle and sharing a car with Joni, we got her a little Mini Cooper, which works great for tootling around. Great fuel economy. I'm local here most of the time. I do travel around the country from time to time, but this vehicle gets about 20 mpg, and so the Cooper gets about double that. Different design, rather aerodynamic, even though it's a full-size car. It's a 1994 with fuel-injected V8. Pretty cool. I ended up getting the new windshield wipers. Even though I had ones that were relatively new before, the material wasn't quite as quiet. These are Michelin wipers. I'm not selling anything, not fundraising. I do make announcements of different products that I've used because I want to share it with a friend. I'm not going to get a commission for it. That's not what this is about. Changes the dynamic of how this works out, by the way. And right on schedule is the school bus. Yeah, if I'm on this road around 6:30, that's what'll happen, Eastern Standard Time. Another water tower there up on the left side. Water seeks its level. It's continually being filled and drained. What happens basically is the pumps fill it up from wells, aquifers. Then there's treatment that's been provided to the water, adding fluoride, unfortunately, in this area, which is toxic. However, there's also chlorine, which kills bacteria, very important, and different chemicals that they use for water treatment. I'm not sure all the details of the water here. Quite often hydrochloric acid is used, and that. Wow, look at the lighting of that. Pretty amazing, isn't it? So they're on their way to a school to be educated, so they say, and they'll be taught what to think, largely not how to think. That's one of the interesting dynamics with that. And as I was in school, I was presented that evolution was true and that we evolved from monkeys. Basically an amazing occurrence. We still got the monkeys. Didn't come from monkeys. Don't live on a spinning globe. That's a lie. That's a deception, because water seeks its level all over the face of the earth. It'll do this all day long. It'll do it perpetually. This is highly purified carbon filtered water. It's had the chemicals removed from it because in our home we've got a reverse osmosis carbon filter system, and then I like to put it in the sun. I believe it provides a benefit for that. I don't need to prove that. Don't need to write a white paper on that to verify that. I like it. I use it. That's how that works. We've got a lot of wind, and the windmill is flowing quickly. The blades are spinning rather quickly up there. You can see that. That's the Prince Resort right in the middle of the view there. Right up where the lights are flashing, there's a culvert there. Actually, it's a little bit past where the culvert is. It's got 4 large diameter pipes that allow water flow to fill up the tidal area, the gazing pond behind the Prince Resort. We've got a lot of pictures of that. This water is really high right now. How high is it? Well, I can use my my device right here and link it to that as a hotspot. I'm going to link it to my cell phone as a hotspot. That's how I do this. It actually works really good. Let's see, what's the best view I can give you? So over, yeah, I'm gonna show you something kind of interesting. It's been in my videos. The Porta units. Right in the middle of the view is a Porta toilet. Well, it's basically a Porta-John. Liquid Money services it. They'll pump it out, and then they have to take it all the way to Myrtle Beach, like almost a half hour away, because it's got the blue bacteria and odor killer in it. That's what they do with that. Okay, so let's see what happens with the lighting change. That's a little bit different. I typically don't run with much of a script. Go figure. What I'll do is I'll have an idea of some things that I want to talk about, and that's just what I'll do. It says I've got a remote hotspot failure. Okay, I'm going to try it again. It's connected now. All I needed to do was refresh it again, and I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to mess with my phone during the broadcast. So what I'm going to do is basically show you what the Tides Near Me app looks like. It's got a little wave. Wow, sorry for the extreme close-up there. The wave right there. So I'll hit that, and then I'll bring that up. This is what we've got. Those are the numbers. You can just read that. And you can go ahead and check that out anywhere basically in the world. And let's see what we've got for the tidal activity today. 5.1 foot high tide, and you can see the numbers there once again. A very helpful app to utilize, especially doing what I do, because I'm chasing after the shots that I want to get. It's raining enough out there right now. I'm running with basically a camera without a case. I do have a life-proof case that I'll use, and also a snack baggie works good, a Ziploc baggie. Actually, the sound transmission is pretty effective, even with that. I think what I'm going to do here is squeegee my side windows off. I'll be right back. I don't know if you could notice the flash. We actually have some lightning. I didn't hear the thunder yet. Okay. So I'm going to go that route that the bus went down. Actually, for right now, I'm going to pull right up over here and show you where the gazing pond is, behind the Prince Resort, which is in the middle of the view. One of the reasons why I like to show the urban displays of reflections is to just draw your attention to that. How does it actually work? How does this work? Flat water will reflect the light differently, than the slanted wet sand that we get. And then also based on perspective, it all changes quite a bit. What's really nice about the urban display of reflections is simply that the water is going to be really flat when it's undisturbed, and a thin layer of water, a thin puddle with a lot of architecture around it, and the white picket fences that bounce the light all around helps quite a bit. Right now, I'm going to show you, this is the view right there that a lot of my photo album Prince Resort shots are taken from, right in that midst of trees there. There's somebody there right now, so I'm not going to be rolling in there taking pictures. I basically will do that different times of the day to show the beauty of that. Because we get a lot of seasonal guests here, there's rentals. This place looks like it's not occupied now. This water right here will get really smooth and glassy, and I've got proof of that. It's not going to happen when we've got 25-mile-an-hour gusty winds and rain, though. There's the auto sensing light that just went on right here. That's good for basically to keep things controlled and observed. A light that goes on like that really draws attention to what made it go on. Sometimes when I've done my photography in the wee hours of the morning, I've had interactions with the local law enforcement, which is good. They want to know what I'm doing. I say, well, I'm taking pretty pictures and sharing them around the world, showing the beauty of this area at the different times. And that's pretty much what I'll end up doing with that. I'm one of the good guys. That's what, and knowing that makes a difference for me and also for law enforcement. I've got a camera that I can zoom in on somebody a mile away and take a picture. Yeah, or the sun and the moon, or birds. And I've had training in law enforcement and the justice system, the penal system, corrections, working with judicially challenged youth. I've had edged weapons training and more. Hand-to-hand combat training. I'm not going to take any stuff. Yeah, it's pretty much how that works out. And part of that is I'm not saying I have a car full of weapons. I'm not. What I'm saying is that I have training that means I'm extremely resourceful and I have the tools to do what I need to. If you're ever around law enforcement, I have been. They say, "Let me see the hands." They want to see the hands, where the hands are, what the hands are doing. A hand is a weapon, just like that. At the beach, sand is pretty much a pretty powerful deterrent. An eyeball full of sand is a real problem for somebody. When the sand is blowing out there, it's pretty nasty. Yeah, I can't keep the rain off of the windows so good here. One of the reasons, now we can see the reflection of that building a bit. It's rather subtle. And yet I have pictures that are picturesque from this exact vantage point. The water is equalizing in this area right here, and and electrical lines and all that. It's not even high tide yet. That's how much extra water is in here. They're telling us what the high tide is. It's more than a normal high tide right now because of the massive amount of wind that's raising that level of water here. That's what's going on with that. So let me just show you once again. This road right in the middle of the view was covered by about 4 feet of water when Hurricane Matthew came in. That was a 14-foot storm surge. If you want to see what it pushes, stacks the water up. Urban display of lighting and a vehicle that needs to, it pushes, stacks the water up. Be worked on or something like that. I have a lot of skills. I could disassemble and reassemble this engine or car. That's part of it. I was a motorcycle mechanic, and I'm a mechanic on just about anything I want to work on. So, you can see the water there. Wait until you see what it looks like when I get up close here. Wow. This is pretty spectacular. That is a lot of, those are some big waves. 3 to 5 easily is what that would be. I'm going to back up just a wee bit. Yeah. People park here quite a bit, so I will too. Got no problem with that. Notice the garbage cans laying over. They're just doing that because that's just what the wind did. They'll just move them around and they'll face that way. The birds soaring, the flag blowing, the waves rolling in. With the high tide at, I believe it was 9:23, we'll see quite a bit of water coming in further, higher. In this beach renourishment, I actually have I've done some broadcasting the Bible live, and then it's archived, but I'm in the context of that also showing the renourishment process, where they pumped sand up from the bottom of the ocean using a vessel, a diesel-powered ship that vacuumed sand up off the bottom of the ocean, washed it out, and then pumped it through a 30-inch pipe up onto the beach here at a rate of 1,500 20-yard dump 20-yard dump truck loads per 45 minutes, to put that into perspective. There was somebody that complained in Florida they didn't want the ecosystem to be damaged. Yeah, so what did they do instead? I met these people right here that said, yeah, there was a stream of dump trucks taking sand out on the beach in Florida where they were. It was basically 100 or so dump truck loads per day. 100 dump truck loads per day, the regular fun size 20-yard dump truck loads per day. And out here, using a ship with diesel-powered engines, high-powered diesel pumps, they were able to pump 1,500 of those dump truck loads per 45 minutes. And they did it around the clock basically for about 3 weeks. Spectacular. And then they'll move it around with bulldozers that run 24/7. First day that they were out here, I had a 23-hour broadcast of that and the Bible. I found out that YouTube will only archive 12 hours. Yeah, so if I run over 12 hours, it won't be archived. So I'll cast for that. This is pretty amazing. The water is not very deep out here. Out at the end of the pier, it's in the neighborhood of 20 feet. The largest tiger shark in the world was caught at the end of this pier in, I believe it was 1963 or 4. It weighed almost 2,000 pounds. That's a lot of shark. My friend Steve, who operates the pier, caught one that, or caught a picture of one that was about 14 feet long. It would have weighed about 1,500 pounds. Saw that a couple years ago. I'm looking through the monitor of the camera that you're looking at, and it's hard to get a picture of how big those waves actually are. It's hard to see that here from this vantage point. If the rain stops, and it will, it's scheduled to, slowing down quite a bit now, I'll take us out onto the pier and show you. Pier's open right now. In fact, I believe I'm ready to roll right now. It's misty, but I'll just take us through the bait shop, or the shop there in a little bit. I'll give them a little time to make sure they're opened up and all that. See, the issue is I'll get blown out. There will be a tremendous amount of wind when I go out there. Yeah, I would say we've got at least 5-foot waves, the biggest so far. I talked with my friend Brandon, who's a world-recognized, Brandon Olin Todd, world-recognized surfer, lives in Costa Rica half the year. I've got friends all over the world. He's here now. He does some surf lessons, teaching people how to surf. Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. I've tagged him in my the photos on my photo album on Facebook. You can click on that, go over to his page, and see some spectacular shots. I have one of them that I grabbed off of his profile just so you could see some of the skills that he has. You know, holding the board to underneath his feet and way up above the water. They're pretty amazing, the skill set that it takes to do that. Oh yeah, I think I just saw about a 7-foot couple of sets, or a set, come in and lightning off the left side of the view there. There's a lot of mystery with the creation that we live in. There's unequal heating based on thermal mass of, and the different, like water will heat up at a different rate than sand and blacktop and concrete structures. We've got the temperature differential of the lighting sources, the sun and the moon. The sun puts off a cool light, actually a cooling effect in the earth, in the atmosphere, where the sun gives off a warm light and heat. So for those of you who give me a lot of heat about the sun in the clouds video or the local sun, I don't exactly know how it works. It has the appearance that the sun is in the midst of the clouds. Certainly not 92.8 million miles away. And then I zoom in on the moon, which is approximately the same size as best I can tell. How far away? I don't know. It's on a need-to-know basis. I don't need to know. What I do know is they're lying about it. The moon is not 238,000 miles away. We didn't land on it. The like video playlist and my YouTube channel has documentaries that substantiate that outrageous sounding claim. Why do people believe that we live on one of these, a spinning globe? Well, we've been indoctrinated, just like I showed you at School Bus this morning. The globes in the movies and the logos of companies, and why would they lie? What's the point in lying about that? Well, if you understand that the scheme of the battle that we're in is about truth and about the eternal perspective that people will have for eternity. It's not just about now. It's about where will you spend an eternity and why will you spend it where you spend it. Basically, all of God's children will be in heaven, and the down payment on that, from what the Bible says, is the Holy Spirit, which I have now living in and through me. And all of God's children do as well. That's why I'm not afraid to live, die, or tell the truth. It's good to have the doors locked. Not a big deal, but you know, simple little things like you know, I would want a moment to be able to react. I'm very aware of my surroundings. And even there's no way that I could know what's coming for me. So like for example, wow, that's just so cool to watch a bird soar like that. I'm fascinated by the creation. I'm not worshiping the creation. I'm not an earth worshiper. By the way, the earth is not a globe, not at all. It's not. It's stationary. God's word says this world does not move. This little light that's half on or half off means that basically I've got enough power to run a few more hours with this. I'm not going to run more than 12 though. Okay, so some say the earth is round. Well, the bottom of this jug is round, right? And then the water inside will be flat. Flat and level. If I took the cap off, people say, well, what does seeking its level mean? Water seeking its level? What is that? None of this makes any sense. Like PewDiePie is saying. Well, what I would say is this. If I take this cap off, the water will run out until it gets to the bottom of that glass there. It's just how it works. Fills its container perfectly. That's what it does. So I repurposed containers. This used to be apple cider in here. Organic apple cider. A jug like this with that apple cider is about $13. It's hard to find glass containers like the gallon. It's a 1 gallon size. Oh, for some of you that may be concerned with my perception, my perspective, am I deceived? Am I dangerous? I'm dangerous to the deception because I'm exposing the truth. How much does a gallon of water weigh? Well, that depends on the temperature, because as the temperature of this water raises, the volume of the water raises and the density lowers. So for example, there's my friend Linda pulling in right now. Okay, so a gallon of water changes the weight. The weight of a given gallon of water changes based on temperature. You can test that out for yourself. So the volume and density changes. You can test it out like at the ocean here. The cooler water is down by the ankles. The warmer water is up by the knees. Real simple. That's how it works. When the water gets cold enough, it freezes. Wow. You get enough frozen water, enough ice, you can drive a truck across it. Ice Road Truckers shows us that. Hey, Linda. There she goes. She's out walking. She lost over 100 pounds. She walks on the beach almost every day. Doesn't matter what the weather is like. She was hit by an impaired driver about I think almost a year ago. Yeah, it was a hit and run, and she had a compound fracture, which means the bone came right through her thigh, her leg, and she would have bled to death before the emergency services got there. A lady, a registered nurse, an emergency nurse nonetheless, was behind her and that driver and saw the whole thing, pulled over, applied a tourniquet, called 911, saved her life. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Are you ready? Are you ready in that anything could happen? My heart could stop like that when the show's over for me. There are directed energy weapons in this world that can cause somebody to have a heart attack. Did you know that? Not afraid. Not afraid of that. Of course, the power of God is He's omnipotent. He can cause somebody's heart to stop. I've heard testimonies of different interactions that my brothers and sisters in Christ have had when somebody attempted to kill them, hurt them, that type of thing. Oh, look at the water bead up. That must mean we're on a globe. No, that's not how that works. It's just not. I reduce the surface tension with Rain-X windshield. That's all. It'll happen on wax paper, glass that has that done. You can do some amazing things with glass. This is a glass file. I'll use it to take care of my nails. It's pretty cool. I'm one of these, you know what? I don't want to have a catch on my, you know, like when I put a sock on, or if I have a nail that's catching things like fabrics and that, you know, I'm dealing with detailing cloths, detailing my vehicle. I want them to be really functional. I don't want them to catch on things. So that's like a texture added to a special glass. The glass in the back is different than the glass up the front, in the front here. The windshield, this particular glass right here has layers of plastic in it. You can't see that. However, it's reinforced to handle what happens to windshields. We get hail, high winds, and more. There can be objects that can strike the glass. It can handle quite a bit. Now, what they've done with the structures of the buildings, like for example, to see it there, the ratings on that glass right there in this wind zone would be over 200, or I should say, they're rated to handle over 160 mile an hour wind. And then on each balcony is reinforced by steel, and I'm not sure whether they're aluminum. I believe they're actual steel, not aluminum. Painted steel, possibly stainless steel. I'm not sure. Stainless steel is non-magnetic. It's got nickel in it. If it's got enough nickel, it's non-magnetic. Ferrous metals, the less expensive metals, they'll rust and they're magnetic. You can test it obviously with a magnet. Those railings up front there break up the wind a lot, and if there is an airborne thing like a metal chair or something, it's going to be protected. That's all steel reinforced construction, by the way. Yeah, pretty amazing. Now I've gone up the parking ramp. Here, you know what? I've got some friends here looking. They might. Okay, it looks like I'm having connectivity issues when I just moved a little bit. Concrete structures can cause that to happen a bit. Yeah, these are that are looking at the waves to see if they're going to surf. I hope they do. That'd be pretty cool to see that. So in the when we were living in Wisconsin, thinking about moving here to steel reinforced concrete construction, you can basically build a concrete box. There's a 3D panel system, which is a steel reinforced foam core that shotcrete goes on. The same technology, utilizing air pressure. and concrete, a high PSI. It's extremely strong. A 2x4 won't go through it. For gosh sakes, you can have it if it's strong enough. Bullets won't even go through it, depending on their caliber. 50 caliber, I don't believe will even go through it. It would have 3 inches of, or I believe it can have up to 3 inches of concrete on both sides of a foam core. So anyway, I did a lot of research on a lot of things. I'm like a sponge for information. How much do I know? It doesn't matter as much as how much I care. That's the big thing. I'll leverage the worldwide instantaneous communication system and also the cloud storage of all of that to share God's word to the ends of the earth around the clock. Why? Because I was set free from a life of stealing, drug addiction, lying, deception that I was a part of. I had to lie to cover up my behavior. Yeah, or I did. That's what I chose to do. Instead of stopping the drugs, I chose to lie about doing them. Here's one of the things too. In the commercials that talk about, your bladder may stop working or explode, you may get cancer, you may have immune issues. I mean, listen to the cacophony of side effects that you can possibly have. And suicidal thinking can occur. Huh, how about that? How about I want to stop smoking and I take a drug that causes me to have suicidal thinking? Doesn't sound like a good trade. Doesn't sound like a good option. How about I'm feeling a little down, so I take something that not only takes away my desire to live, causes me to want to kill myself, but before I do that, I think I'll take a few people out. And that's what happened with me. I not only had suicidal thinking in 2005, under the influence of Prozac and Depakote, I had homicidal thinking too. It's not that I wanted to run over a bunch of anonymous or people, random people. I just didn't want to leave my family killing myself. So I was contemplating killing all of them and then myself. Well, what kind of a deal is that? You're not going to hear that on a disclaimer that medications may cause you to have homicidal thinking. They mention the suicidal thinking. So the family that's fed up with the individual that's on the that's needing to be on medications, what they'll end up saying is, well, you know what, they're insured. We get a nice settlement. Oh, too bad for them. Well, here's the thing. You're not going to hear that you may have homicidal thinking. There wouldn't be the family support network saying, yeah, are you taking your medications? Yeah, let's see under the tongue. Give me a break. Okay, so here's what happened. In 2005, I took an overdose of Tylenol PM and nearly died. And then they rescued me, went to the hospital. All of this, during this time, Hurricane Katrina was happening. I was in the hospital when that happened. Within a week after getting the helicopter ride into Theta Clark in Neenah, Wisconsin, that helicopter crashed and killed everybody on it. After giving me the ride to save my life. I talked about this Sunday morning. I had an overdose of Flintstone chewables in, I think, 1963. I was a couple years old, and my parents had no clue that I was going to get a chair, climb up on the counter, climb up on the cupboards, and grab that. And I remember what it felt like having a tube shoved down my nose, and I remember seeing my little black pants and shoes on the gurney where I was getting my stomach pumped out. I wasn't a drug addict. I was an interesting child. I loved to swim in the water. I loved life, and I loved the taste of Flintstone chewables. So more is better, right? I've been an overdoer and extremist for a long time. Yeah, regardless of the container size, the water will still seek its level. I love to have that purified water in me. So how does that relate to toxification and suicide? Well, appropriate water, purified, clean, fresh drinking water is an important aspect of health. It provides actual oxygen for our physiology. Yeah, and it can go through, not only does it go through the blood-brain barrier, it's what our blood is largely, there's a huge component of that, and blood is designed to carry oxygen, so it's important to have that appropriate, clean, fresh water. So in the reason why I bring up it wasn't a suicide attempt when I was 2 years old or so. It was more I liked the taste of Flintstone chewables. This right here, what I found out, this is liquefied spinach, kale, chia seed, broccoli, hemp hearts, apple cider vinegar, honey, mixed berries, bananas, grape juice, apple sauce. Man, that sounds good. I think I need to have some. So here's the deal. I can go into the refrigerator just about any time and grab some of this. On a rainy day like today, I'll take the time to make about 5 gallons of that. It's pretty thick, and then I'll add liquid to it, the highly purified water or the organic grape juice or apple juice later, so I don't have to freeze 15 gallons of it. So the neurotransmitters that the brain operates on are generated by healthy nutrition. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do now. If I leave the light on, I'll have no ability to start, or will I? I've got a jump pack that's about that big. I take it with me on my motorcycle too. I'm ready for that too. A dead battery. And jumper cables, I can jump start other people's vehicles too. This right here is my battery pack and a suction cup device that this will be going on right now. You can do this kind of thing too if you want. With 100 subscribers, you can go live on YouTube. Mobile. Mobile is nice. So I know there are tools to stop the microphone from blowing out, but it's not that windy right now. A few miles an hour, and the rain is starting back up. This is the Prince Resort in Cherry Grove, South Carolina. I've got that deck up there, and here we've got the little swimming pool. There we've got the big swimming pool. You can't compress water. That works good for moving ships that carry lumber and rock and sand and water and all that kind of thing. Good morning, gentlemen. So it looks like I'm having some connectivity issues out here. I'm sorry for that. Yeah, this is a big tide, a lot of sea foam. I think those surfers are ready. Oh yeah, they know how to do this. It takes a special kind of person to be able to handle this. It's not just riding the wave, it's being able to get out there to do it. This side of the pier doesn't have as big a waves as this side over here. This is the direction the swell is coming from. I'm gonna take us out there a little faster. Wow. They don't want you to be surfing within 300 feet of the pier. I wonder why. Yeah, I know why. If you get smashed against this pier that's loaded with barnacles, you'll be bleeding and it's nasty. It could cut you right up, break bones, knock you unconscious, pull you under and take you out to sea. Oh yeah, there's some fishermen out here. How nice. Cool. Yeah, there's a water tower right over there. I can see it from here. And then there's another one right over there. And then another one right over there. With so many people that come here, the water treatment is a big deal. We go through a lot of water here. 20 million people in the Grand Strand. That's a lot of water usage. Not just toilet flushing, but laundry, linens, and all of that. Pretty amazing stuff here. I will be taking some pictures later on. I'm not going to do that right now. Here comes Walter, the lone pelican. That's typically what I call a loner pelican, a Walter. I've got friends that nurture them back to health after they smack into hotels or get hurt some way. That's a laughing seagull. So out in the ocean, apparently we lose about a ship a week. I've got some documentaries about rogue waves, 100-foot waves that break like this right in the middle of the ocean. Could be what took down planes over in the Bermuda Triangle, I don't know. But if they're coming in hot on the deck, real low on the water, and they run into a wave that's 100 feet tall, that's it for them. They're gone. Some of these ships that have vanished, there's been no communications like we're being attacked by pirates or anything like that. They're just gone. They just go away. So as I go back now, I might very well lose my my broadcast. I don't know. I'm going to try and keep it going though. See the light on the pier in that? Just the geometry of how that works. It's relatively flat, and then there's a drop that goes over. We can see that. So the lighting and shadows are a big deal with all of this. Because the climate is like this, we've got, well, street people or people that are homeless, some living in cars, not many of those. And the law enforcement is really particular about keeping the area clean, so we don't have much car camping visible, although Walmart allows it, and that's very policed up. I believe that's just a Walmart policy where they allow people to sleep in their vehicle. When I was hopelessly addicted to marijuana, I was ready to move to a legal state and live in a car so I could get high. What Jesus helped me to realize is all I needed was to be born again. That's all I needed. And the issue is I thought I was born again until I actually was. I stepped out of the wind a little bit. It's coming out of the east. This is a south-facing pier that's 987 feet long. It's a little bit humorous. It's a complex issue. The worldwide deception, people believing we live on a globe. They're deceived. No polite way of saying that. Hey, I'm going to show you that shark. There he is. What a whopper. Good day, gentlemen. And these are some of the teeth that come out of sharks like that. So one of the things that I looked for was the curvature. Couldn't find it. The x-axis, left to right, can't see any curvature there. So let me just set it on the railing and I'll get real precision with this. It's harder to see it now because it's so gray, but when the lighting is better to highlight that, there's no visible curvature. Of course, when we're looking at water coming up a lot higher, and I'm right at the sea level like this, yeah, I can't see through the water unless I'm at the right angle to do that. Like, for example, I'll be able to see the bottom of that water or there. This is the pier where the bulldozer was running under. Was able to show you that on a video. I've got a lot of video that I captured of the renourishment process. And this is the Boardwalk Beach Cafe. Really nice place, friendly staff, very encouraging people I've known over the years that work here. Looks like one of the surfers is getting ready to go out there. So where I am right here, because this structure is right here, the wind is being blocked by the shrubbery right there. And I can see the flag is still blowing pretty briskly. The wind is moving pretty fast, probably still in the neighborhood of 15 miles an hour. Not many people on the beach. What they did is put some fencing there. It's like up north we would call it snow fencing. Down here we don't get much snow. It's mostly for the sand. And what happens based on the wind direction is the blowing sand will drop out of it. It's a V shape, so any direction the wind blows, it's going to cause the sand to drop out of it, build up the dunes and that. Pretty amazing. Wet sand doesn't blow much. Unless, of course, you're using 1,000 pounds air pressure or so and blasting rusty metal with a sand blaster. Yeah, I've done that kind of thing too. Interesting thing about a guy like me, or not a guy like me, I haven't met any of those, is that I've had a very diverse background where I've operated heavy equipment, worked in corrections with gang youth, Christian ministry, and worked as a motorcycle mechanic, automotive mechanic, all kinds of different jobs. It would be hard for me to stay employed with a company. I would get bored with it. We did real well with real estate. That was a wonderful benefit. Living in a property, fixing it up, selling it for a substantial profit, and avoiding capital gains because of the laws that were in place then, as well as not having to pay rent and having a tax write-off. It was wonderful. That works good when the bubble is blowing up, and then when the bubble pops. You see, we got out before the music stopped playing here, and that's one of the benefits that we've had. We also do commercial cleaning to clean condominiums, to prepare them for people to stay here for a week or so. So there's the physical me, and then there's the digital me and you, our digital activity. So it's not just like a video that I make like this. It's videos that I find on YouTube and more, like on Facebook, and then share them. Going on? Are you ready? Are you ready for eternity when your body stops working? When you can't fog a mirror? When you can't fog a mirror or register a pulse, what happens? So, life skills. Are you ready if somebody were to get hit by a shark? If somebody out there were to get hit by a shark, I could take my shirt off and throw a tourniquet on them, stop them from bleeding to death. Use this phone to call emergency. I would probably call emergency first and then put the tourniquet on, depending, if I was running on over to them. Do you know how to do that? It's good to know. Do you have some supplies? Antibiotic ointment and hydrogen peroxide to kill infection? Do you have a little chlorine to put in pond water if you need to kill microorganisms so you can drink it? I've got a life filter to drink even brackish water. I know how to desalinate water with things that I've learned on the internet, things that I've invented to be able to do that. I can use a pump sprayer, like a clean pump sprayer, like for spraying weeds, and pressurize my reverse osmosis water filter, which is actually a desalinator. There's a lot of improvisation that we can do. There's a lot of creativity that we can implement. The concrete structure you're looking at right there can carry the weight of vehicles driving up there. The top levels there you can park for free year-round. It's a wonderful benefit. Of course, there's elevators in there to be able to carry your stuff, you and your stuff. It's amazing. All of that required a blueprint and approval, and then the people that knew how to put it together. It's just how that works. The vehicle that I'm driving around in had designers, had people that knew how to fabricate with metals and plastics and mold makers and all of that. What does that have to do with anything? Glad you asked. Or I hope you were asking. The earth that we live in has a system, an ecosystem that God created. The plants transpire oxygen. They consume water, utilize the sun's energy to generate photosynthesis to create nutrition for our bodies, oxygen for our bodies. None of that would work if we were in a vacuum of space without some kind of a barrier. So from what I understand, way up there, the firmament exists to separate the waters from above that are way up there. We're in like a terrarium, not a snow globe. We're not in a liquid environment, although there's humidity and moisture. There, we've got him riding some waves right now. Cool. I don't know how well you can see that. Down the way there, with the wind direction later on today, there will probably be kite surfers. I've got some video of them going over 30 feet in the air, getting lifted by the wind, pulled along on the ocean in the big waves. Pretty amazing. I don't know how well you can see this. Way down there, there's looks like a little family with children and that. Pretty amazing. So like here, we can see the display of the sediment that got moved around. The lighter floats, it could be like the different material that came out of, so right in here, this material could be like biological material. Right up here, the high surf tide line, I can see broken up little pieces of marsh grass, things like that. This is much greener than it was a few days ago. Just a little bit of rain, actually a lot of rain. I think we had probably about 4 inches of rain last night. So what's kind of counterintuitive, we live close to the ocean here, and it's designed, this architecture around here, as well as the roadways and that, all designed to be able to handle a tremendous amount of water flow and airflow. That structure right there can handle hundreds of miles an hour of wind. Okay, this structure right here, not so much. If the windows break and it creates a vacuum on the back side and pressure going in the front side, it could pull the roof right off. They've got hurricane strapping that's required for architecture in this area. Hopefully the people that put it on there did a good job. Hopefully they were having a good day. Hopefully they weren't all addicted to drugs and stuff, getting all lit up the night before. Hopefully they did a good job. That's part of what I'm talking about. I have a level of excellence working on aircraft, vehicles, high performance race vehicles and that. So there's a bit of a transmission problem there. I don't know why. I'm going to go to one of our commercial accounts and go into the parking ramp. It'll give us an elevation of about 30 feet higher. So I saw the car backing up and they stopped, which was nice. Wahoo, okay. They're still working on this project here. And part of the evidence of that is, well, they haven't put the blacktop on it yet. Now, some of the observations that I'm going to have are maybe pretty obvious to you. In fact, I hope they are. That's part of the deal. And then the other part of the deal is I just want you to, well, what I do, and I'm going to flip this around, look for the reflections in the little puddle along the road. They'll all be there just the way they're supposed to be. So as we see these clues all around us, the water is flat. That's sad. It's just what it does. It seeks its level, fills its container, and real clean, crisp, clear water like this, undisturbed, gives off beautiful reflections. Now back 35 years ago, this was not as populated at all. One of the things that's changed is the technology that we have to regulate climate control inside of living structures. These buildings right here were all burned down. Well, not these buildings, the ones that were here were burned down for Hurricane Matthew. Urban legend said a guy was barbecuing. Reality was wires were broken, sparked, and caught the houses on fire. Sometimes what we hear isn't the reality of what actually happened. That's one of the reasons why I mention that. Now, those houses that burned down were of they were not nearly as substantial of a structure as the ones that replaced it. Now, when they build these structures here, they built the one behind there first, and then they used heavy equipment to bring in the swimming pool. They would have a hard time bringing the swimming pool in now because of, look at that. Now that's wooden. Concrete would be much more durable, of course. Somebody smoking there. I used to smoke. Glad to not be smoking. I'm not all judgmental. I would simply say it's going to be a lot tougher on the body. I don't think anybody would argue that. I've never really met anybody that said, man, I am just so freaking glad that I smoke cigarettes. No, what happens is people get addicted to them, like I was, cigarettes, cigars, pipes, marijuana, and then I was addicted to alcohol and more, and then pharmaceuticals and all of that. Now I'm just free. See the sign? Okay, so in the view, what I want you to notice is the angle of the sign on my hood, because the hood has a contour, and how the sign directly comes out on the reflection because the water is flat. That's one of the spoiler alerts. It's not really a spoiler, it's a clue. So what's in the view right here? Well, this is the beach access. It doesn't say no vehicles. I know that I'm not supposed to go out driving out on the beach, so I'm not going to go very far out. Wet sand allows me to actually drive on it. Kind of holds it together. And there's not a whole lot of people out here waiting to call the police on me, so I'm good with it. And that's about as far as I'm going to go. And I'm just going to back right up. So we've got the the sand fencing there. This was all put in by dump trucks and bulldozers and all of that. not hurting anything by doing what I just did. This is an individual that really doesn't want anybody trespassing. Good. He did think it was important to take my Bible.com beach chair and stick it behind the dunes. I'm like, hey, why'd you take my chair? I said, did you see a chair? He said, yeah, somebody left it. I said, yeah, I left it there for a reason. Of course, he's not a Bible believer, not really a fan of the Bible. Okay, so I just backed out. The water is seeking its level. That's an example of that. And it'll get really calm and still, and that's what it'll do all over the face of the earth. There's some, okay, so the wind here is blowing towards me, even though out there it's blowing a different direction. It's bouncing off of stuff. That's kind of how that works. There's aerodynamics, fluid dynamics, hydrodynamics. The clues are all around us. Okay, I ride a motorcycle. Look how far I need to pull out to see if there's a vehicle coming. It's one of the reasons why it's so dangerous to ride a bike around here. So I'll be closer to the center line, ready for somebody to randomly pull out at any given time. Okay, inside there, we've got somebody maintaining the pool system. They're cleaning it right now. A lot of film on the glass. What is that film? Well, a lot of people, it's hot water bubbling, and so there's probably skin and chlorine and all of that. Yeah, I did say skin. That's one of the things on the filtering system. When we go into a bubbling body of hot chlorinated, chemically treated water, it's going to take dead skin off of us, right? Well, that's part of the deal. So I exfoliate a lot with daily, pretty much with gloves, nylon mesh gloves that scrub the dead skin off, and I have them soaking in chlorine, not chlorine, I should say in baking soda water with some cinnamon in it now. I like that. It's invigorating, smells good. Notice any curvature there at all? You shouldn't. That's a high tension cable system to stop vehicles from driving off. Not that I would want to. We can see the contour of the hood of the car, obviously, and then the perfectly flat, level water horizon. That's the x-axis. That's what they call that. Our owners are in town, so I won't be going up to the condominium that we clean for them. But I will back around and show you a little something. The perfectly flat water right there, I've seen it turn into ice when it's been like 16 degrees in here. And then that would be mostly fresh water. There might be some salt mist that gets integrated into it, but even brackish water will freeze if it gets cold enough. The hydrologic cycle, the evaporation, condensation, precipitation, transpiration, respiration out of us, transpiration out of plants, perspiration out of our skin, that's all part of the system. The indoor climate control systems that have allowed much more population to live in areas like this. This building wasn't here 30 years ago. In fact, it wasn't here 20 years ago. And the temperature differential allows the moisture to be condensated or captured and then put outside or down a drain. And once again, the water there will seek its level as well. When I turn this car off, just turn the air conditioner, it's going to be a whole lot better than drinking salt water. Wouldn't want to do much of that. Yeah. Okay, so we can see the phone is tipped a little bit. Now we're back to level. Let's put it more in the center. Yeah. Now right from this vantage point, I've got video of bulldozers working those dunes there. I saw it as a tremendous opportunity to show the dynamics of earth-moving equipment, and right next to the ocean here. So we've got the lighting, the color contrast, the flat water, all of that. The symmetry, depending on the angle of the perspective, if I walk out there, we'll see the ceiling in the reflection. Recently, I did a rainbow shot of in the room, my bedroom, our bedroom. And what's interesting about that is just that I was recording and showing you what it looked like looking through a rainbow. Have you ever done that? Not from that vantage point. Right in the view, right there is the water tower. So what we've been taught, and I believe it to be accurate, without water, there's not going to be life. You know, so for years we've been told, oh, we found a planet with water. Maybe we could live there. Maybe we could go there. Well, a lot of this stuff they're making up. However, the truth of the matter is we need water. We need water to live. Our bodies carry, the way that our body is made, water carries nutrients, oxygen, and removes the toxic chemicals and byproducts of metabolism from our bodies with the water. So what I would say, the short version, is I put the good stuff in and keep the bad stuff out. It's pretty much how I do that. I look good for 56. I know I do. It's because God is living in and through me, helping to treat my body better. But it's not just my body, it's my soul. Okay, so I'm not all freaked out about riding around dirty under the influence of legal alcohol in excess, which is illegal, or outright illegal drugs. You know, I'm not doing that. I decided to go ahead and turn my lights on, even though on the auto feature they may not be on now. It just gives me a bit of a reach. How fast does light travel? I don't know, faster than sound. I don't need to know exactly how much faster it is. I know I can see a firework make the flash, and then we hear the bang, right? Pretty simple stuff. Don't need to make it too complicated. I'm wanting to I want to help simplify some of the things that I observe. Okay, so right in the view, flat water and angled telephone posts and power lines. How come? What do you think happened there? Well, a lot of wind coming onshore. A lot of wind. Over 100 miles an hour at times. I've got pictures of my motorcycle with the Bible.com flag in the water. How deep is the water? Do you think it's going to cover the roof? Well, I don't think so. Wouldn't think so. I've walked in it before. It's, I believe, probably a foot deep at the most. So I'm going to stop. What's going to happen? Well, there it goes. It's still reflecting, just differently. That's all. If I sit here long enough, the water will seek its level. So what I'm going to do is cut the engine off, turn my lights off, and let's just see what happens. How long does that take? Does it matter? Well, I had one of my friends say, what do you mean water seeking its level? Well, it means basically undisturbed water will seek level. It'll just flatten right out. Now, right here, there's structures all around, and we can see the reflections a lot better, but there is still quite a bit of wind. Over the tops of the houses looks like over 10 miles an hour. Yeah, I can hear it hitting the underside of my car. Just so you know, it would be most likely somebody else's fault if there's an accident when I'm driving. I'm a very careful driver, looking where I go and looking for other people. I need to. I don't want to get smashed into. Okay, so this water closest to us, look at how flat that is. The water in the middle of the view is where I just was. The difference is there's gravel right there separating the two. So they were unaffected by my travel in there. In the photography that I show, if you look careful, you look closely, I'm intentionally showing some things like wind direction, the way that it causes ripples on the water, impairs reflections. As water reflects a man's face, God's word reflects the man. How do I look compared to how I used to look? I look a lot better. I've had people say I look like I had on the Sphere Flat Earth discussion board. Oh, they're picking on me, saying I look like I'm drunk, I'm all drugged. Yeah, right. Oh well, believe what you want. I guess they don't want to believe in God. And I would say, hey, come and pay me a visit here in South Carolina. Be happy to talk with you. Literally, I would. On my side of the street, I'd be happy. Whatever they decide to do is their thing. And this could be Jeff driving that vehicle. I know a lot of the people around here, I'll talk to them. A lot of times they'll come up to me, and pretty fascinating. I've got pictures of the Carolina Dunes here with the perfect reflection of that sign up in front, and then these illuminated globes, the glass globes. Can't see them as well now. But earlier in the broadcast, you can see the lighting, the way the wind changes the reflections. The shallow water with more architecture and foliage around allows for better reflections. The bright yellow sign that was just there, visible, just a different design of chemical, a different surface coating that has been created to be more reflective. The water, she's a reflective, very reflective. Straight on the other side of the stop sign there, whoa, and this bird, oh yeah, is where I do a lot of photography. It's called The Point in Cherry Grove. So I'm going to show you the water tower from a different perspective, or one of the water towers, I should say. Right in the middle of the view now. And then the porta unit, that can come in handy when I'm out there doing photography and need to use the facility. Straight away through here is a view of the ocean. The island is right out there. Got pictures of eagles in the trees out there. And because I've done a lot of photography out here, I have a lot of friends. I have friends that live in here, business owners, and they vacation here, and some people, a lot of people rent from here as well. So this place is up obviously a bit higher, and the water didn't really come up much on this blacktop here when we had the 14-foot storm surge. It came up real close though. But even here, like for example, there's the drain in the low spot in the parking lot right in front of the car there. And then of course the parking lot's all contoured. When I was visiting in Wisconsin, there would be quite a bit of contour in the parking lots as well for rainwater drain off and snow melt and all of that. So all of the architecture, the roadways, the public works projects are designed with that in mind. Because of the diffused lighting and the color contrast, it's easy to see the perfect flat water. That's why I show it. In through the trees right here is the public access. You can't see it too well now. They call it the hut. And those are the people I know that have animal rescue. They nurse pelicans and other wildlife back to health. So in the context of this, I noticed something that I wanted to show you. The globes that are lit up on the fence here are kind of pretty to see. in the flat water there. Now, if this was the type of soil that was clay, it would be really slippery and I would get stuck. Not sand. Sand is a different thing. Works a lot different. And that's about as close as I would want to get. I wouldn't want a beach service or lifeguard vehicle come out and smash into me. I would have some splaining to do. That's okay. So what I do pretty regularly is park up. This is a parking spot, a good place to park, right straight in front of me. And then that allows, right where the telephone pole is, a golf cart to park in the opposite direction. It's kind of nice. Because I would come out here quite a bit, I would help encourage people by where I put my vehicle, how they can then park, or should. Elliott Realty, they have rentals here, and it looks like maybe the for sale sign is down now, but it was up earlier in the year. Nope, it's still there. Sometimes it'll change real estate companies to try and go ahead and sell the property. So I just drove through there, and then in a very short time it'll get pretty still. And it won't get perfectly still because there's a lot of wind blowing around. So now Landmark Sotheby's has it, International Realty. So it's got something to do with connectivity. So like we sold a lot of our homes on our own. We had very desirable properties, found the buyers ourselves, and actually one of the homes we sold, for the biggest profit, we used eBay as a way of selling, which was interesting. The people that bought it lived nearby, but we made over $100,000 on that property. So when I was working, 55 hours a week during and all of that, we had our youngest son was in diapers, and Wisconsin gets really cold in the winter, and ways to heat the house. We didn't know what was going to happen. And what I want you to keep in mind is that some of those preparations helped me a lot with what I've learned. Okay, so we can see the water fly when the car splashes, the reflections, all of that. It just will continue to do that over and over again. This is a really pretty big puddle here, and I'm not familiar with exactly how deep it is, but I can see the reflective lines underneath. Now, this is a better view of the water tower. Yeah, it's from a different perspective, obviously. And let's see, can I put it in the, I don't think I can put it in the view of the car camera. I can put part of it in there, and it all has to do with the angle, how that works. Oh yeah, the water's probably a foot deep here. I made a system of capturing water from our well at the farm with a one-way check valve on each end of a PVC tubing pipe that I could drop through the well casing, and then a rope to pull it out. Well, they're wanting me to go. That's nice. There they are. And of course, I'll give them the friendly wave. So there's ways to get water out of the ground. One of them would be electricity, and then there's the manual pump that a lot of people had used for years and years and years, and then just simply using a PVC pipe. It's about 5 feet long with a one-way valve on each end, and so when I would drop it into the well casing, it fills up, and then I just pull it right out. Worked beautiful. The other valve stops rust and stuff from falling into it. And it would move almost a gallon of water per pull, and it would take a couple of minutes to do that. Now, one of the things to keep in mind, if and when there's a collapse of the world system as we know it, going to Home Depot or Lowe's or True Value, wherever, to get plumbing components and PVC parts might be very difficult. Just the one-way valve would be a big thing to be able to have. Because with the system down, we could probably get some plumbing parts, right? Some of them. Oh wow, this is interesting. I'm gonna bring it up to speed and see if we can see the car splashing the puddles out. I know I can. They're actually kind of going out of their way to get into them, so I'm gonna try and catch up to them kind of close. Let me do the same. Yeah, that's kind of fun. And then it settles out right away. I wanted to do that, and I've been doing this for a while with an urban display of that, simply because so many of you watching this will have puddles and roadways where you can notice some of the same dynamics. What's interesting about where we are here is that we're at sea level. Yeah, so like I'm going to pan on over here and show you. There's the sea level right there. Now this person driving with their trunk open is probably going to avoid splashing the puddles. That house right there is a radial design, and it can handle a lot of wind. The tide is still coming in and up, and it'll cover that little area right in the middle of the view where the birds are right now. There's Walter. Another Walter. Now it calmed down a bit, so let's see if we can see the Prince Resort a bit better. I would say, yeah. See it? And so I've done a lot of photography out here as well to show the beauty of this area. It's called the Russell R. Burgess Coastal Preserve. This is funny, it says dead end, no turnaround. There's a boat ramp and fishing area over on 53rd Street. I went by it just a little while ago. And that area there has a pavilion that I could go in or go under and still get a beautiful view of the area. But this is nice for now. So there was the Prince Resort in the reflection next to the road. And there it is. The middle of the view right there, that's what I want to show you. So it's perfectly flat and vertical, the water showing the reflections. So that's largely what today's broadcast is about. It's more. It encompasses a lot. You can learn a lot from me if you want, or not. You can scroll on by. It won't hurt my feelings. So let's take a walk out there, see what it's like. I can tell you it's really humid. The really thick. I think I want to refresh my my phone, my my iPod, and see what's going on with the tide. I might have seen it wrong. Yeah, so I'm going to refresh it once again. So this Tides Near Me app, I can basically go to almost anywhere in the world and confirm, or I should say not confirm, I can get estimated tidal activity and all the data that I mentioned earlier in the broadcast. Okay, so I had a failure to connect, and now it's connected. What happened when I walked away is it changes that. Now, just a thought for you. There are other Wi-Fi's around, but they're locked. I can't get them. So now that I'm connected, let's take a look at what the weather says. No more rain until 11 o'clock, and it's 96% humidity. That's a pretty thick, pretty heavy. So more water seeking its level. You know, the rain will fall off of branches and all of that. Oh wow, there's a massive crane up there on that. What the heck is that? I think it's probably worth grabbing my camera and showing you. I can creep on the bird from here. Not that I'm creeping on him. I'm gonna pull my camera out, but I want to check the tide activity once again. Oh, yeah. Okay. So the last high tide was 3:53 a.m. and the tide is going out right now, 10:39. So it's been going out for a while. My earlier broadcast, I must not have refreshed my device appropriately. So I had a false reading, which serves a purpose as well. How is that when we get a false reading? When we're counting on the data to be accurate and we get false readings, how does that work? Okay, so I think what I'm going to want to do is try and show you in real time. This is a little odd, but I'll try and do it anyway. So what I'm going to do is shoot them and then show you. I can do that really good. All right, there he is. That'll probably make the photo album right there. Now down here where I'm standing, we can hear very little airflow, but right up there, there's quite a bit. From what I've been told, the portable bathrooms save approximately 125 million gallons per day of water. There's a fly in here. Now the hand sanitizer there, let me just let you hear the water seeking its level. And then it'll get still real quick. That's just what it'll do. Now this right here is a little float that would go in almost a couple years ago, and it's still here. Now I'm going to get real quiet. Imagine that, and creep out on the bird that's there. He's right there. Wow, how awesome. You know, I should have probably brought my other camera. Oh well, that's okay. I knew he was gonna fly. So the water's gonna go out till 10. Oh wow, look at that. Wow. That's a whole lot of activity. This wasn't here yesterday. This came up today. Yeah, because earlier we could see the concrete down there. So the buoyancy, that's one of the topics that we're talking about. This hunk of wood here, I'm gonna just move it with my hand. It's over 100 pounds of wood by the feel of that. The bobbers and all the different things. And the water just comes in and moves it all around without any problem. So this looks like a cedar tree that got knocked over, but it's still growing. See? Pretty classic. This is the root system down here. I don't know if this happened during Hurricane Matthew or a different one, different hurricane. We've got pictures of this house, these houses in a beautiful reflection there. So by the look of it, the evidence, the water came all the way up to here because that's where the marsh grass got brought up to. Wow. And that's way more than a high tide, than a 5-foot tide. Way more. So what's interesting right now is the wind is coming from that direction and the water is still flowing out, creating a very interesting look about it. That shape right there has to do with the windbreak that this is all right here. So one of the things that I'm encouraging people to do is to get out and enjoy this kind of area where you can, when you can. There's some beautiful areas of this world to enjoy. The wetlands, definitely one of my favorite categories of places to be. Along the ocean, the beach. See, I've got a lot of videography and photography of birds out here and clams and beautiful reflections of all that. Well, it's all covered up by water now. All that stuff is basically still under there, the clam beds and that. Even with the wind flow, the reflection of this whole area, we can still see that, the symmetry of that. Whereas over on this side, it's harder to see that because of the way that the water is being moved by the wind. Over here, it's still being moved, just differently and less. I'm going to take us back over to the pier and see what that looks like. So in this area right here, right now, the wind is coming once again from the south, and this side of the brush has a easier to see reflection than as we get closer this way. It has to do with the aerodynamics of the wind. As I get under here, I'll have more of a windbreak. We can see more clear reflection there. Wow, lightning out there. Cool. It feels like there might be another band of storm coming in. That's one of the reasons why I'm moving this way. There's a storm sewer pipe right there. And see, the pipe is round and on an angle, and the water, she's a flat. It's just what it does. All the public works projects need to be on the level so that they drain to the ocean or to the system of water treatment. And then once again, we've got a drain system here, another one up over there. I don't know how well you can see the contour of the lot, but I can clearly see the hump in the middle, the low spots, and all of that. Here's some thunder rolling in. Pretty cool. Thanks for coming along with me for a ride. So like on the ABC coverage of the Flat Earth Conference, it seemed that their litmus test was to ask everybody their question: what color's the sky? Blue, blue, blue. Not always. It can be gray, it can be a myriad of colors because of noble gases, the proximity of the sun in relationship to the viewer and the clouds that are all around. You know, there are people that are highly indoctrinated, have a lot of money and a lot of stuff, that are very deceived. The amount of academic credentials is no real indicator of whether somebody is deceived or not. You might not like the fact that I believe the Bible is real and true, or that water exposes the global eye, that proclamation that I keep saying. It'll just get level, or not. You know, so I think what I've noticed in my lifetime is that if somebody doesn't want to believe the Bible, they're going to find all kinds of problems with the person that does. Yeah, how about that? Yeah, those Bible believers are all hypocrites. Not all. Some are. I was. I was a hypocrite and didn't know it. So in the context, I just rounded the corner there, but right there is the Prince Resort. And that symmetry of that reflection is perfect. Now in that mirror, there's a little blind spot mirror. And see that line there of the building, that vertical line, is exactly perfect. That doesn't happen. That won't happen on wet sand that reflects that building, and it's tapered just like I showed you earlier. There's the Prince Resort again. Now, it was there the whole time, and the low spot in the middle of the view was there the whole time. We just weren't able to see that without the water in it. The water shows that. Once I started to see that, I'm going to show you another kind of a cool spot where that happens. And then I'll take us over to the pier again. See, I haven't seen that puddle in this yard before. That's a lot of rain that made that. So we came through here earlier today, and it was quite a bit darker, quite a few more lights on. There it is again, right there. See, we can't see it in that deep water because it's getting too much wind blowing it. So what's interesting about this is the wind is blowing the opposite direction in this location. Now it's blowing towards the car, down low. Up above, it's blowing the opposite direction. We're in a bit of a slipstream right here. With aerodynamics and fuel economy and performance, the way stock cars are designed, Indy cars are designed, that all factors in. This little house, it's all right there. You can see it. It's got a rather low-pitched rubber roof. That can probably handle quite a bit of wind with all these bigger buildings protecting it and the trees and all of that. So now when we go down this road, I'll show you from a different time of the day what it looks like, closer to the different tidal activity. Phil Smith here gave me a cowboy Bible. Nice guy. Interesting man. It's a little New Testament. So now, right in this location, a lot of ripples. As we move closer to the windbreak, there is the reflection much clearer. See that? Yeah, I don't have people behind me, just so you know. More lightning. Heavy equipment, I've operated one of those. It's an articulated loader. I used to operate one of those quite a bit. It was kind of interesting, the different trouble that you can get into with one of those. So I don't know if I'm going to lose my broadcast again here. There was a signal transmission issue. but we'll see. Looks like some more surfers are coming over to check it out. So it's not raining. I'll take us back out there for a little bit. Good morning. Great, thanks. Coming in. So now that the tide is going out, there's still some big waves there. Yeah. Surfer right over there. Oh, there's my friend Linda. She was in the broadcast earlier. She's in the middle of the view there. Wow, the water came up pretty high. Oh yeah. Wow, that's pretty big. So how far did the water come in? Well, it came in all the way to there. Hi, Linda. There's my friend Linda.
I just did 5 miles.
5 miles. Good for you. Now, the tide came in, well, it was more than the tide. We had storm surge.
Yeah.
How far did it come up down there?
Pretty far.
Look at it. Yeah, it really moved a lot of sand, didn't it? Wow.
Look at how tan you are already. You suck. I'm sorry.
Well, it's that gene pool, I
Look
guess.
at you, how good you look.
Thanks, Linda. Well, I take good care of myself. And God takes good care of me too. Wow, what a beautiful day.
Zoom in on that guy.
I don't have my Zoom.
Why not?
It's in my car. Oh, that's a nice shot.
I meant the guy with the dog.
The guy with the dog? I think that's a girl with the dog. I think so. Yeah.
And they can't get a good wave.
Well, it's all blown out. The wind is knocking them down. If they had an offshore, see the wind is coming out of the south. See how the flag's blowing towards us? It's knocking the wave down. You can still get a ride. It's just tough.
I'm going to be back out here. I'm going to go say hi and then I'm coming back.
All right, Linda. Good to see you.
Not to go to the gym. I walk.
Well, today was a great day to walk on the beach, huh?
Yeah, and the tide's right there.
How soon until we see all the big sea turtles?
Huh?
How soon until the sea turtles come in?
Probably not till June.
Oh, June is sea turtle time.
May. But look how a lot of this
Oh yeah. Yeah, that water came up pretty high. So it's kind of interesting. You won't see many heavy weight surfers. They're normally pretty trim, pretty healthy. It's a pretty active sport. So part of what we can do is go ahead and have an active lifestyle. Getting out and doing things and enjoying the world that God created. That's pretty much what I like to do. So I'll interact with people. I've known Linda for years. Just wonderful to see how God is working in her life and so many others that I meet out here doing this. What I was planning on doing later this week is a longer broadcast of an audio Bible. I think I may be doing that on Wednesday. It's not supposed to be rainy. Kind of hard to do it in the rain because of equipment, wind and rain. The coastal area here has a different type of weather system than inland a ways. So that all affects the weather system of the world. Like I mentioned earlier, the hydrologic cycle, the ocean evaporates a lot of water into the atmosphere, and then it condenses and comes down in the form of wind. I should say rain, fog, snow, sleet, hail. And a lot of those different forms have to do with temperature, of course. So the water that exposes the global lie is all of it. And as I've mentioned before, reality basically exposes the global lie. The way that the world actually works, the way things really work in this world, contradicts the false reality that we're presented, because rain can't go the opposite direction. It doesn't go upwards on the what they call the bottom side of a spinning globe, because the Earth is not spinning, it's not wobbling or gyrating, none of that. None of that's happening. I've got a video of my motorcycle right in the middle of the view there in a big puddle with the wheel throwing water off of it because of centrifugal force. And that's about as far as I'll go there. Yeah, the configuration of the beach changed quite a bit with just that little bit of a storm that came in. Yeah. Linda walks the beach a lot. She would notice something like that. So the clues are all around us, how that actually works. So the clues are all around us, how the So under the concrete there by the gas stations would be a lot of fuel. However, if you don't have auxiliary power to draw it out, to lift it up, you can't get there. You can't get it into your tank. So like concrete seeks its level, that's a pump truck right there. I've got a video with that title, Concrete Seeking Its Level. Heavier does that. Heavier liquids show that. A lot of liquid in concrete. On the gas station, the fuel station up to the right here in a little bit, they've installed a massive generator to provide electricity not only to keep things refrigerated, to pump the fuel out of the ground, to energize the communications systems that will allow for the digital transfer of the money, the ability to buy. And so you're looking at MECO right there's the company that's providing the service to install all that. Now, water, when electricity is applied in the process of electrolysis, you can shatter the bond between oxygen and hydrogen, creates a gas called hydroxygen or HO, can actually run a vehicle on it. I've done that, done it on a Buick Park Avenue supercharged vehicle. The product, and I did that over about a decade ago, but that technology's been around for a long time. I didn't invent it, saw it on a YouTube video. You can learn a lot on a YouTube video, quite frankly. So the other thing that can happen is there's a lot of deception that's on YouTube, in the mainstream media, on the internet in general. How are you going to be able to learn what the truth is? Let me show you the waterway out towards the ocean. I'll go a little closer here. That'll give us a little better view of it. What's so obvious, or it should be, is that the land has elevation. We're going down now. That's about 100 feet above that water. The land has elevation all measured above and below sea level, and then the water is flat. So because of atmospheric pressure, the term jetting a motorcycle at sea level is different than at a higher altitude. I used to race professional level motocross, the tuning of a internal combustion engine, motorcycle that has airflow and the flow of fuel needs to be what we call dialed in or tuned to operate at the altitude appropriately. The air is thinner at a higher altitude, thicker, more humidity, more oxygen near the ocean. It's just what it is. I'm going to flip this around. A lot of flooding out there. I couldn't show you what I wanted to quick enough, but that's okay. There won't be much equipment operating on construction sites around the area today. They just park it, take a day off, do other stuff. It's too muddy, too messy, it doesn't work good. So on one of the comments on a video said of me, what kind of research have I done? And it's on a YouTube comment. If they haven't gone over to Eternal Perspective and listened to me talk for a bit, then they're not doing their research. There's a terminology called confirmation bias. Somebody is looking to believe something, so they find what they're looking for. That's what I believe happens when somebody wants to believe the lie that they believe, or they want to believe the lie that they want to believe. It's confirmation bias. So in Scripture, the Bible, I believe, is God's Word, authored by Him, the creator of this world. He can superintend and cause a human being to do what He wants them to do. You know, maybe you've seen people do evil things, heard about it on the news, or Flip Wilson in the 70s said the devil made me do it. Well, I'll tell you what, God can make people do whatever He wants them to. And what He did for me is He gave me a love for the truth, a passion, purpose, and an eternal perspective, and then showed me that I had been deceived. It's just what He did. That's how that works. So Satan will use who and what he can. The God of the Bible uses it all, works it all together for His outcome, what He wants to see happen. It's just how it is. Whether you like it, believe it, or agree with it. Now, in my friend network, my personal private syndication of me, and then I have people that like what I'm about. Some, and I appreciate that. So I'm taking us up to a place where a lot of people do fishing, and I've got photography that I've taken here. Like I said, if this was clay, I wouldn't be doing this, but it's sandy soil. The saturation of liquid is much. It falls out of the particulate, the sand. It drains better. Clay is a lot tougher for that. I just wanted to show you from this vantage point what that looks like. We can see the wind direction is coming from behind me. The reflections that are more visible are closer to us because the air is blowing over the top and then coming down and hitting the water. It's aerodynamics. It's a big deal. It's the real world. It's how things really work. So when we look at an airplane fly, where do you think we got the idea for that? Looking at birds, right? We had birds for a whole lot of time before we had airplanes, right? Well, maybe. I don't know. How many of these constructs or the world that we live in have we had? Were there other floods? I don't know. The Bible doesn't talk about that. So in one of the reasons, there's a few reasons why I believe that the Bible is true. we've got the history of the world, as in the account of creation, what God's word says happened, how this world was created. He hovered above the face of the earth, basically spoke this world into existence. That's awesome. There are mysteries in this world that we don't understand. We don't understand how how this world had developed over the years. The Pyramid of Giza and other wonders of the world. And then we've got mud fossils that look strangely like could be massive giants. I don't know how that all works out. But you see, I don't have to know the answers to all those questions. Some people don't even know to question that. What I do know is there's a concerted effort on humanity to toxify our physiology, putting toxic additives in the food and the water and the air, the atmosphere. Some call it geoengineering, some call it chemtrails. Then there's also frequencies. We've got over 5 million cell towers, and there's more. There's more than cell towers. There's a lot of frequencies all around us. What do they do to our physiology? So the water towers I showed you, they're more than water towers. They've got many of them, cellular communications antennas, standby power systems on them to keep them powered up if there's a power outage. If and when the grid goes down, they can continually be powered. What does a microwave do to the water? I don't know. I can't stop them from doing it to the water that came from the tower that was up there. Since we rent now, we don't have well water. I do like to put my water in the sunshine after it's been purified, like I mentioned again and again. I believe that's a big deal. I do what I can, and I also believe there's a factor that comes into play with all this, that God will allow us to survive in the midst of toxification that the enemy of our souls is putting out there. But wait, there's more. There's information, toxic information, deception. Okay, so how does this work? What I mentioned just a few minutes ago, Satan will use who and what he can. God uses it all for his will to work out. His will is going to be done. I don't have to agree with him for it to happen. He doesn't need me to ask him to make it happen, or you to accomplish it. He's in the heavens and he does as he pleases. I love that about him. Are you ready? Are you ready for what's coming? Are you ready for when your body stops working? What then? So, let's see, what else did I want to cover? Oh, well, all the forms of communications that are out there, whether it's print or digital information through computers and cell phones and all of that. And by the way, I just want to encourage everybody that's watching this to get 100 subscribers. I subscribe to people. Many of them subscribe back to me. Okay, so when I want subscribers for the form of evangelism, I want to, okay, so there's people that I want to learn from, and then there's people that I want to learn from me and ultimately from God. So who does that cover? Basically everybody with a YouTube channel, or anybody that can fog a mirror or register a pulse. This right here, well, is that a mirror? No, it's an iPhone. Let me throw a little light on it. Not so much a mirror anymore, is it? Or is it? Okay, so what do we have here? What we have here is a handheld computer. It's an iPod Touch with a lot of storage. With this device right now, I can communicate worldwide using my cell phone as a hotspot. I can broadcast Facebook Live on this concurrently while I'm doing a live broadcast on YouTube. Basically, utilizing modern technology for handheld, instantaneous, mobile, worldwide communications. So I understand and understood this from the Flat Earth International Conference in North Carolina. We were hoping that God would allow them to share truthfully what's going on. That's dreamland there, baby. Okay, what is happening though is there's enough truth that's getting out that people are questioning it. Okay, so people are going to have to be looking, and they're going to have to be wanting to know the truth more than confirmation bias, believing the lie that they want to believe. So am I looking for what I want to see? Okay, so isn't that interesting? There's a reflection of me, but what happens if I energize that? Well, it'll go away. Now that, what you saw or can see there, I would have to move it differently. That is a Gleason's map. Is that the map that I use? Oh, not really. I've got a GPS. Oh, we're at 9:10. How about that? How about 9/11? You know what happened on 9/10, September 9/10? Donald Rumsfeld announced that $2.3 trillion went missing from the Pentagon. Then we had September 11th of 2001 occur, and no further investigation was pursued or possible because the budget analyst's office at the Pentagon was hit. Arguably and undoubtedly one of the most surveilled areas of the world, the United States Pentagon. And we get a picture of a fireball. Can't find any plane wreckage. Yeah, no black box there. A lot of missing black boxes. They're designed to handle what happened. They weren't found. So instead of looking for WMD, weapons of mass destruction, well, they should have been looking for black boxes, plane wreckage, and bodies. A lot of missing stuff. But interesting that Muhammad Atta's boarding pass was found in the rubbish down in the wreckage, or I should say the paper and all the glass and stuff of a World Trade Center explosion. I don't think so. It's all ridiculous. So there's a couple categories of information. Conspicuous by its presence, conspicuous by its absence. In the public indoctrination system that isn't only school, it's social reinforcement or penalization. In that whole construct, step out of line, you got a good job, you step out of line and start exposing the truth, you might get a call into human relations or HR, human resources. You know, they like to dehumanize that whole thing. You might get pulled into the office and you might get chastised, you might get let go. Depending on where you are in this construct of deception, you may lose your life. I'm not afraid to live, die, or tell the truth. I say it again and again. I'm not kidding about that. I'm very serious about that. You think the people driving by here are noticing the Bible.com guy? What's with that? What's he doing up there? They can see my logo. Logo's on my car. Well, what I'm saying is basically pay attention. That's what I'll do. A couple of things I want to mention. Obviously, you know, Eternal Perspective is my YouTube channel. You're on it right now, or you're watching it through Facebook. You can have a card with the name of your YouTube channel on it. I have this one for a reason. I believe it is an eternal perspective that I'm helping to provide people. On my YouTube channel, in the lower right corner, I have a link to my Facebook. I put that as a one of the links that you can go to and then see the photographs that I take and more, my activity there. I've had some of my videos edited, and sometimes this information will be good to know, but I'm easy to find. I tag my name in my own videos. If somebody wants to find me, I'm not afraid to share that. Got pretty pictures of semi driving and the reflection there. He's going up a slight grade. He's going up a ramp, a different elevation that this is right here. In my photo album, I've got the truck like that, perfect mirror, upside down and vertical both ways. Yeah, none of that makes any sense. That's what they're wanting us to believe with the global lie, that there would be a ship floating on the bottom of a ball, and that rain is getting drawn to the center of a molten core, a molten, spinning, wobbling, oblate spheroid. That's patently not happening. It's ridiculous. It's not biblical. It's not reality. Reality exposes the global lie. I'll debate anybody. The condition for the debate is I'm wanting to do a simulcast on Facebook and YouTube of the debate with my own equipment. North America is right here. This is where I am. And apparently they're saying that Australia over here is upside down in relationship. And they're saying that this makes one rotation in a day, which is 1,038 miles an hour at the equator. Air travel wouldn't be possible. You can take your Velcro atmosphere rotating with your imaginary globe, and I'm calling it all a lie. Believe it if you want. No matter how forcefully you try and convince me or anybody else that we're on a globe, I know it's a lie. It's not that I believe it's a lie. There are things that we can know, and there are things that we can believe. I believe it'll get quieter if I close the door. I know it got quieter when I closed the door. I believe the humidity in this car will drop when I turn the air conditioner on, and then I will know that it did. Well, if my air conditioner stopped working, then that wouldn't happen. The difference between, I'm going to digress back to 9/11, 9/10, the announcement of $2.3 trillion went missing. I understand the math to be 1 million seconds, I believe, was 12 days. 1 billion seconds is 31 years, and 1 trillion seconds is 31,000 years, something like that. It's a lot of time. Trillions of dollars is so massive, it's hard to even get our mind around that. Eternity is a long time. It's a long time to regret. The great news is all of God's children will definitely be born again. That's for sure, and that's forever. That's the great news. With some of the technology that we have, P900 that I take a lot of pictures with, let me do something with the reflection. Have an eagle looking directly at me, largely because he saw the flash in the reflection of my camera, I believe. I can't know that for sure. I saw him snap his head and look right at me. I believe that's what it was. Now, I've got two Bible.com mugs. Okay, they look virtually identical. Well, they're not. They're not exactly identical. This one is warmer on the outside because I dropped it at the EAA convention in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I believe this is the one. I'll find out in just a moment. That's the one. So I'm going to drink this coffee in a moment. Basically about 17 ounces of some pretty strong coffee. I like it that way. I'm good with my beverage, my liquid beverage. No matter how healthy the food is that is, let's say, at a Trader Joe's, a Walmart, or whatever farm healthy food supplier you have, an organic supplier, the body needs to assimilate it for it to work properly, for it to give our physiology the appropriate nutrients to develop the neurotransmitters that the brain operates on. I'm going to take some of this right here. It's a little thick. So what I'm going to do, we're like a bit of a living science project. The water seeking its level, and then to allow this to work better, I'll just do this. It was a little bit too thick to drink. I mean, I could do it, but I would rather do it like this. Now, what I'll do is triple rinse this or so. See, it's still kind of thick in there. There's some residue. Well, I don't want to throw that away. That's not trash. That's not something to just wash down the drain. So I'll take some of this. Once again, my purified water. Now, it may not look real pretty. Keep in mind, are you ready? Are you ready for a supply disruption of resources to fuel your car, fuel your body, power up your batteries for your communications? Are you ready for all of that? Like Linda told me, when I saw her on the beach, she said, "You look so good, you make me sick." I have people tell me that. They say, "You look so good, you tan so easy, you're so healthy." People are drawn to me. They want to know what I got going on. Not everybody. Some people don't want to know what kind of a freak show is going on there. They might want to believe that. Get to the end there. I'm good with that. Now, I'm not a vegan. I'm not anti-vegan either. What I did do when I was at Costco a few days ago, I bought a lamb roast, boneless. And then I seasoned it with some Greek seasoning, cut up a bunch of onions and put it in a basket that I use over charcoal, lump charcoal, the Royal Oak charcoal. I'm going to flip this around because you can see the reflection better for now, for a moment. The wind currents are changing a bit. There's a concrete pumper right there in that view. A lot of that activity going on here. Why? Well, there's a couple of concrete factories nearby. So I'm going to go back to the roast lamb, making my own gyros with a lot of vegetables, a lot of onions. And then what I mentioned for the liquid that I just drank there, super healthy, a lot of energy. I feel better than I ever did in my whole life, ever. And how does that compare to other people? Well, it's not necessarily irrelevant. What matters, though, is I feel better than I ever did. So I tried a whole lot of ways to feel good in this life, trying to add drugs and alcohol and chemicals. I'm okay with me drinking coffee. I'm okay with me eating meat. I just don't eat a whole bunch of it. I have some. So in the context of all of this, what are the choices that we make? How do we make those choices? Are our beliefs based on reality, or are they based on what we want to believe? So, quite often I say, it's only by God's grace that anybody can love and believe the truth, let alone find it. I hold to that. I believe that's biblical. I believe that's reality. Because 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 says they refuse to love the truth and so be saved. For this reason, God sends them a powerful delusion. It's just what happens. So a lot of cars coming, and then there's a little break. And then I just roll on out without spinning. And then I'm going the speed limit. And that's how that works. You know, I ride a motorcycle too. I drive a car kind of like a motorcycle. I know my acceleration limits, the handling characteristics of the car, and I don't want people to have to slam on brakes when I pull out somewhere. I don't want to make a big mess either and trench that area. So there's a lot of interesting choices that people can make. Right up here, I've got the Bible.com flag. I put it there by the other church signs. It's been there for about a year now. Hopefully you can see that. It's actionable information. People can go there. Now this truck has the Jesus fish on the back. And the thing that I like about the Bible.com flag is that information can link people to a website that they can access God's Word for free in over 1,000 languages. Now, with Bible.is, which is also on my card, you can download the Bible there. As important and beneficial as it may be to download the Bible on a device, having God's Word hidden in my heart that I might not sin against Him, priceless. That's where it should be. That's where His Word is, for me, hidden in my heart, which is one of the reasons why I don't want to impair my information storage and retrieval with drugs, alcohol, or anything that will hinder appropriate function of my brain and emotions. I remember what it was like being the me that I was, where I knew, or at least I believed what I should do, and I couldn't do it. I didn't have the power to carry it out. And now I do. Now I absolutely do. Because it's a power that I wasn't born with. It's a power that I was born again with. It's not like I got a fresh start, a clean slate. I have a power to choose and to carry out life that I didn't have before. It's a power beyond me. That's what I needed. That's what I have. That's what I'm telling you I found. I'm not selling anything. I'm not asking for money. The water seeks its level. What that means is they're lying. They're lying about the spinning globe. The reason it matters, just consider this, the reason it matters is it's not biblical. It's giving people a false reality of a godless cosmic Big Bang. That's what they're promoting. They're not promoting the reality of the world we actually live in. They're giving us a false reality. So it's beyond all the different systems of communication. What it also is would be all of the individuals that are brainwashed. And they don't know it. They might think themselves very well informed, and I would say they're highly indoctrinated. Is what they are. And that's how that works. Later on today, I might be able to go for a motorcycle ride. I want to let it dry up a little bit before I do that. I'm going to take you for a little walk around, show you a couple things in my yard here, our yard. This water jug on the top of the car has been a topic of conversations, many conversations. That's one of the reasons why I do it. The yard is so much greener than it was yesterday. Yeah, I'll take you right on through. See, it's a mirror, and then it's a window. It's a door, actually. There's Frank. Hey, Frank. Hi, baby. Yeah, Frank, he's a character. Here's Pearl. Hey, Pearl. She likes people. She slaps other kitties. I've got little kitty arguments going on. And then there's Molly. We've got 8 cats, in case you're counting. Hey, Annabelle.
Pray also for me, that whenever I open my mouth, words may be given me, so that I will fearlessly make known the mystery of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in chains.
Wow, isn't that something?
That I may declare it fearlessly.
And there's Dean. He's our troublemaker. He chews chords. And Kiwi, or Olive, and Lily. And Smeagol, our favorite. Let me throw a little bit more light on him.
Grace to all who love our Lord Jesus Christ with an undying love.
Smeagol.
Introduction to Philippians. This letter, written by a prisoner, stresses that joy can be found in any situation. The prisoner was the Apostle Paul,
Smeagol.
who was in Rome when he wrote to the Philippian church around AD 61
Hey,
to
baby.
63. The word joy occurs 6 times in the book. Joy
So one of the
stands
things
for
that I wanted to show you, I got a recliner for, let me, well, I could do it like this, or I could do it like that. Kind of interesting. I shop at Goodwill. I get a lot of good deals. That's just what I do. So I can sit here and watch the TV and have a conversation with somebody sitting there. Look out the window if I want to. That particular water container there actually causes a rainbow to be up there in the room, in this room, when it's about 11 o'clock or so. It'll shine on in there. I'm fascinated with mirrors, reflections, water. Water's a reflector. The plants make a lot of oxygen. The added mirroring, I know it's on a little bit of an angle, but it works good for what I want to do. The liquid mirror that you're looking at right there, let me adjust the lighting in here a little bit. So that gentle wave that just keeps coming in, well, it looks different than that out there now, doesn't it? We were just at the ocean. Not only is the water reflective, the people that come out there, they're reflective too. Reflecting on their past, their present, their future, all of that. The symmetry that's there, that's all very intentional. I like to set it up like that.
That your love may abound more and more in knowledge and depth of insight, so that you may be able to discern what is best, and may be pure and blameless until the day of Christ, filled with the fruit of righteousness that comes through Jesus Christ.
The way the reflections changes is very beautiful and consistent. I'm going to mute it for a moment so you can hear what I have to say also maybe a little more clearly. This is a Rand McNally map of the world, much like many of us grew up with in school. You'll notice the continent sizes and all that are basically official. They says it's accurate. I'm not a cartographer. I have no way of confirming that. That's okay. There's the cinnamon and baking soda gloves and the organic coconut oil that I put on me after I shower and rinse off with purified water that I put in a organic apple cider container. It's a great water container. If I show the seeking its level, what'll it do? It'll just keep going out until I tip it back, but that's the idea with that. This is an old repurposed milk jug, the Otto Company. So I also repurposed the martini shaker. I used to have vodka for breakfast. Yeah, don't need that anymore. Never did. Don't want it. I stopped putting the coconut oil in my coffee and lost about 17 pounds. That's okay. I still cook with it. Oh, Tesla. I've got to make sure I don't get this too close to my my phone. It'll crash it. It's kind of cool. The whole Tesla orb. Yeah, there's my picture of my mom. She said, Bobby, if the cancer doesn't get you, the treatment will. That's our son Austin when he was about 3 weeks old, and this was just before she died. Yeah. So the Earth, I believe, is covered by a firmament or a dome, and this is like a compass. I got it for 50 cents at a garage sale. Definitely more plants, lots of plants for oxygen. I want to show you a couple of things that are impossible on a globe. I'm sure not that this is, well, it all is basically, but here's jasmine. It puts off a beautiful fragrance. I know the bed may look messy, but it's all clean. All clean stuff. The kitties are clean. I bathe them with baking soda.
Consider others better than yourselves. Each of you.
These are gardenias. When they bloom, I'll bring them inside. They're so, I love the fragrance of gardenias. How would that work on a globe? Doesn't have to. So yesterday this didn't have any water in it. So did we get that much rain? Like 5 inches? Well, not exactly because it's a tapered container, but it's we got a lot of rain. Here's my favorite wind chime. Based on perspective, if I put it just right, you can see through it like that, right? Wind chimes are impossible on a globe. Satellite dish, I know there's a frequency that picks up a signal. It's pointed towards Texas, basically. I've actually installed one and got it to work properly. I can do that. I did it with DirecTV. Where I was in the United States, 270-degree azimuth, I believe it was. But imagine when they say we've got geosynchronous satellites, if I move this ever so slightly, see how it changes? Can you imagine pointing that at some device that's supposedly rotating with the spinning Earth, that could possibly pick that up? Or how about there's a beam shot up to the firmament or the atmosphere up in that area that this is pointed towards? Which makes most sense to you? I'm not saying there aren't satellites, just not like we're told. A geosynchronous orbiting around the Earth that's spinning, that's absurd and ridiculous. Now this might look a little confusing right now. I'm about to bring a little bit more clarity to it. The symmetry and reflections of this flat water is pretty amazing. I wonder if I can make a drop right there. How about one of these? How about a bunch of them? And then look at what happens. It'll get still. It's just what it'll do. So I see this world with a lot of wonder. Yeah, it's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. So the bedroom windows there face over the ocean, which is about 7 miles that way. The sun is coming up way over here now. In the winter, it was coming up way over here. In the winter, right before the spring officially started, the sun was setting over here, right through the backyard. Now it's setting way over there. That's why I say you didn't feel yourself spinning, wobbling, gyrating, did you? I'm surprised they let that information out, that they let me share that, and that water seeks its level. Okay, so this water is overcoming that, like what it's doing here, because of a pump. So I'm going to go right here and show you what happens real quick. It's taking a little bit of time, but it'll get perfectly still, much like this right here. If I move it around, it's that perfect mirror. It's a lot better. As water reflects a man's face, God's word reflects a man. I can't, in my natural self, I can't love God with all my heart, soul, mind, and strength. I can't love my enemies. I can't love my neighbor as myself. Come on. That's all not possible. What is possible is when the Holy Spirit took up residence in me, He does in and through me and all His children what's humanly impossible. Can't be done. Can't do it. Not going to happen. One of the other systems I mentioned, climate control. This is a heat pump. It puts heat inside when I want it to, or adds cool and removes humidity, and it drips out of that pipe right there. It's an atmospheric water generator. If I have electricity and want clean drinking water, I could get it from there. Hopefully I don't have to do that. It's just an option. Like I mentioned, my car would be dripping water when I turn it off. I can see the puddle underneath it. Here's the place where I put the water jugs. It's all busted up here. That's because when I set the jug in there, the sunlight coming from right there focuses on this sufficiently that it will burn the grass like there or pop out the concrete. I've got to make sure that I don't put it on the glass or it'll create a focal point of temperature that'll shatter it. That's why I put it there. It's kind of pretty, starts a lot of conversations. We had our development-wide garage sale or yard sale. That was the #1 question that people would ask me when they would see my Bible.com shirt. They would say, "What's with the water on the car? What's in that?" And I would tell them, well, you know, I use it for photography to illustrate that water seeks its level. We don't live on a globe and we didn't go to the moon. And by the way, I like solar activated purified water. And I'll say, you know, like sun tea. Yeah. So to just take a look in our neighborhood, I'll look out here and see the flag either blowing or not and hear the wind chimes. Like I mentioned, now the sun is coming up over here and it'll do, boom, it'll do that. In the winter, it'll do this, boom, just like that. So what I'm encouraging people to do is to pay attention. What is going on in the real world? What's really happening? Where does the sun appear and vanish? If you're not sure about the shape of the earth, I can tell you there is a overwhelming amount of evidence to prove we don't live on a globe. That is what my primary mission or not primary mission, that was one of the main things that I wanted to illustrate to people, is that the official narrative of the world that we live in and the system that communicates that is deceptive. The news systems and all of that, the major networks are very deceptive, and it's very convoluted, involving what a lot of people view as entertainment is all programming, all of it. So even in the comedy, they're bringing out the funny boys to make fun of me, talking about toilet water, exposing that water exposes the global lie, and we don't have toilet water flying out on people in Australia because of gravity. It's because water is seeking its level. Yeah, it's what it does. So let's just around and see what it looks like. It's a whole lot closer than 93 million miles. That's absurd and ridiculous and not real. So the other day I saw the clouds moving in multiple directions, and yeah, that's what can happen sometimes. It got pretty quiet now. About ready to go for a bike ride. Yeah. Done a lot of research, done a lot of documentation of it with my videography and photography. So when I'm out here detailing a vehicle, I'm also waving at my neighbors that drive by. A lot of times they'll pull on in or pull over and talk to me. Cool. Yeah, I'm not at a loss for words, right? And then there's the Bible.com when I'm gone, or when I'm here, or here, because I believe it matters. I believe it matters a lot. Sharing a message that sets people free. In this quiet neighborhood, there are parents raising their grandparents raising their grandchildren because of either heroin addicted or deceased children, a desired outcome for contaminants in the food, the water, the air. She happened to work at a toy manufacturing company that had very poor air circulation in Hortonville, Wisconsin. Hortonville Toy Company was the name of it. It's long since been dissolved. It's no longer an entity. And what happened was many people died of cancer that used to work there. And interestingly enough, my mother was working there to help pay for a rather costly motocross racing effort that I was involved in. You know, if I didn't do that, would she still be alive now if she wasn't working at the toxic toy company? I don't know. I have no way of knowing that. And then the other thing is, my life isn't characterized by regret anymore. I realized that I was a drug addict, a liar, and a thief, and more. Now I'm a free man sharing a message to set others free, looking to help encourage others to do what we can while we can. Think I'll be able to do this? I don't know how much longer I'll be able to do this or will be able to. When will the Bible be considered hate speech? I don't know. Some areas it already is. It can cost a person their life. So in this rather policed up area, I have no problem going the speed limit, driving through speed traps, because I'm not being hunted down like an animal for believing in Jesus, getting the ultimatum, either I reject Christ or be martyred. More people in recent history have called me anytime. Thanks so much for your public and private encouragement.